Hey, how's it going? This is Technical Tim here, and this is the Tim and Gugabe podcast. And I'm here with Gugabe. I feel like it's very late there. How are you doing?
Business as usual as far as that's concerned. It's only
Yeah,
about 12:30. It's not too bad. Like, remember at one point it was up to like 2 o'clock, and that was just awful. But yeah, life's good. How are you?
not bad, not bad. Just I'm glad we're finally in the full swing every week. We got a card for a while, so I'm kind of excited for that.
Yeah, 100%. It's like what? So it's all booked for till like April or something, aren't we?
I forget exactly the weekend, but I know it's like I think there's like 5, 6 cards in a row or something like that.
Yeah, I think the Ghana Rosenstrike seems to be the last one. Then before Khabib Ferguson. So yeah, till start of April we're booked.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
good.
Cool. We'll quickly recap. You just want to talk about Jones Reyes, just because I I think we both have a lot of action this coming card. So if we talk about the whole card of last week, this will be like a 2.5 hour podcast, and I'm not into talking for 2.5 hours. So
Yeah, pretty much. My kangaroo butler would sort of force me to get to sleep earlier, so my
yeah,
best to keep it sort of focused on Jones Raz. So I'll be taking the position of 48-47 Raz, and you'll get taking the position of 50-43 Jones. Let's debate.
no. So
50-50.
I rewatched it and I thought 48-47 Reyes was the most justifiable scorecard, but I still even like watching it live, I thought Reyes probably should have gotten rounds 2 and 3. But it was funny going after the fifth round, I was like, Jones has the two clear rounds, like very two very clear rounds. So he's probably going to get one of the first 3 rounds on a couple judges' scorecards. That's kind of the way I saw it. But like I thought Reyes probably should have gotten it, but I didn't think it was a robbery either.
Yeah, like I played Reyes, got to an average price of plus 450. Going into the decision, I honestly saw it as a coin flip. Like my interpretation
Yeah.
was round two was the pivot round. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of annoyed losing that because obviously plus 450 was an insane price there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't like, oh, that's a robber or anything. I would lean towards raise 3-2 being the more correct thing, but it's like 55-45 sort of
Yeah.
interpretation. And also, I understand people like rewatching fights to like get context and really pick up the details and really try to create an absolute form of judging. But I feel like you have to judge fights like the judges judge fights,
Exactly.
which
Yeah, yeah.
is
That's why I give them a little slack. Like, obviously, they fuck up all the time, and the person who gave Giles round 1 over Kraus is a fucking idiot. But, like, I didn't think I feel like they got the 1, 4, and 5 correct, and I didn't think, like, 2 or 3 were the most clear rounds I've ever seen? Like, I know that's not, like, the standard you wanna use, but I still this is why I was kind of confused in the moment, and no one's really talked about this, and I brought it up to you last night. Is it so Reyes landed 116 strikes and Jones landed 104, and I think their total strikes were very similar to that. And a lot of people didn't talk about Jones only attempted 160 so Jones landed 107 of 170. Reyes landed 119 of 263 total. So Reyes landed more, but attempted like, you know, 90 more strikes. So what I was seeing, even though like Reyes was landing a lot more in those, or not a lot more, like by 4 more strikes, 5 more strikes in rounds 2 and 3, when I was watching it live, I just kept seeing him miss a lot too. So that was another reason. Like he was throwing more, so he was landing more, but he was also missing a lot more. And Jones landed 62% of his strikes, and Reyes landed 44. So that was like another thing. Is I felt like when I saw Jones throwing, even though he wasn't throwing as much, he was landing, and I saw Reyes missing a lot. So it wasn't like a thing where I was completely like for sure that Reyes had won, if that makes sense.
yeah, and also think we both critique MMA judging enough to know that judges like people ending rounds strong, and they like their body language a lot. And I felt
Yeah.
like Reyes was kind of like I think Reyes in the pivot rounds probably should have won based on what he did in the first minute or two of both rounds.
Yep. Agreed.
And relying on judges to remember something happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like, and also Jones was always moving forward. Jones and I don't know, Reyes just had poor body language for most of it. Like, I believe from my personal judging, I think that's irrelevant. But from just knowing how MMA judges judge MMA,
Yes. Yep.
if you're going backwards and you got poor body language, and you've lost the last minute of the round, you're going to have issues.
Exactly. That's pretty much how I saw it too. Like I saw personal score. I think Reyes probably deserved the first 3 rounds. But rounds 2 and 3, just like you said, Jones was the forward mover, and like he kind of had the later half of the round, and that doesn't mean it should be that way, but that's generally how it is, you know. But like I still think like for all the people who are kind of I do think Jones also gets graded on a curve at times, you know? Like I don't think that was a robbery. I thought it was just a close decision that probably should have went to Reyes, but it wasn't a robbery either, you know? Cuz I still thought Jones clearly beat Gus in fight 1. Or not clear, but I thought he was the rightful winner. And there's like half the MMA world who thinks Gus won, you know?
Yeah. Also, I think Gus got. Sometimes people kind of get credit for overachieving, I guess. So it's just
Yeah.
like people kind of grading the curve. But I feel like
Yeah.
because Gus sort of overachieved, like I think Reyes won that fight. But it's not. I know I know the sport well enough. I wasn't like I could see how he lost it.
Yeah, and like just I was watching this with a couple of my buddies. Like, I couldn't watch some of the card. I mean, I watched it all on my phone, but I watched this one like on the TV with my buddies, like after my dad's birthday party. And after round 3, like me or a few other people, we were all like, it's 3-0 or 2-1 Reyes, you know? So, and then we all agreed 4 and 5 were Jones. So it was kind of like that 3-2 range should have been it. And it was probably Reyes, but yeah, like I think we're kind of repeating the same thing now, but it was just it was like a classic close fight, you know?
I also think the main thing my sort of judgment going with the fight was that Jones seems to just lack that athletic gear to really
Yeah.
sort of wrestle. He's like I feel like young Jones was less polished in a lot of areas, but also young Jones just had another gear to him. He just moved quicker. Like Jones, I'm not saying he's slow, but he's not quick.
Yeah. So I originally was kind of thinking like Jones wasn't as declined as people think, but like I'll walk that back a little bit. I still think he's very good, and I think he's still like quite good in some areas. But I kind of noticed that as well. The thing I noticed with Santos and Reyes is they can kind of just whenever he's walking them down and he's trying to kind of cage cut them, I feel like they can kind of circle to their left or right and get out of danger a little more. Like Jones can't really corral them up against the cage at all. And I feel like that might be something to do with his athleticism. I feel like his like foot speed is maybe a little gone. And then just his overall aggression from a wrestling standpoint and just like closing the distance at times with his strikes. That's kind of the way. That's kind of what I noticed.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that this gets sort of prove a massive spoiler for our pick for the main event, but I think we're both agreed Corey Anderson can beat John Jones,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think
It
at
would
quite a
definitely be
significant
a
clip.
fight. Yeah.
Yeah, if that happened tomorrow, I'd price Anderson as a favorite.
I think it would be a close fight, you know,
Oh, I
because
was like minus 125 sort of thing, but yeah, I think Anderson can and will do it.
yeah, I think it would be a competitive fight. I would say that for sure. You know, and they we'll kind of get to it later, but I had tweeted out that Jones and Usman were the only like male early fighters in the UFC with 7 or more fights who have won the significant strike battle against every single opponent and the takedown battle, or tied. You know, like they've never lost it. And Corey Anderson's actually in that too. You know, I didn't realize that. I thought it was just Usman and Jones, but I realized Anderson's right there too, and he's done that as well. So I feel like Anderson would certainly put up some offense in that fight, and it would be competitive.
I'm surprised if Merab Davashvili doesn't also have that same statistic.
For, like, I did a minimum. I did a minimum of 7 fights. So some some of the newer fighters, like Wiley Zhang, is actually in there too, but he isn't, or she doesn't have the required amount of fights yet.
Actually, Science apparently landed more significant strikes in Merab anyway, so apparently not.
Oh, did he? Yeah. I did a minimum fight requirement, but yeah. I thought Zabit was thinking too, but Zabit was outlanded in takedowns by Mike Santiago randomly. 2-1. That was kind of
outlanded Gugabe.
What's up?
Who outlanded Gugabe?
Gleason Tebow.
No, yeah, well, Gleason Tebow got robbed, so it's fair enough.
Yeah, he outlanded him 2-1.
Yeah, that was an awful decision. So what's on the card?
Yeah, so this New Mexico card, I actually think these prelims are quite good. I tweeted about it last night. Main card isn't as good, I feel, but for a fight night, you got there's like 6 fights in a row that are all kind of solid, you know. But we can start at the bottom of the card. We'll just go best fight odds order.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, because like
and Paiva, I don't really have too much to say here, to be honest. I'm not gonna have any action on this fight, and I feel like Paiva's a decent striker, and it looks like he can like functionally grapple to get back to his feet. But I'm not interested in playing him at -210, and who knows, you know, on this fight. I don't really have much to say here.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't mind Michael La Rosa's game. He's kind of just suffering from lack of athleticism and I guess a real elite skill set, which is an issue at flyweight. But yeah, he's so yeah. You put Michael La Rosa's skill set in like a heavyweight or something, it's like a top 5 fighter.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not. He's at a good weight class.
I know. Like I like Michael La Rosa, but yeah, I think the price. I think he might be a little bit too wide, but he's not wide enough. I feel like playing him.
Yeah. He just has trouble scoring a lot of offense too, De La Rosa. Yeah. Like he's not bad anywhere, but he doesn't like consistently land a ton of strikes or a ton of takedowns, you know, even though he can kind of functionally do everything. That's kind of the way I see him. And at least Paiva looks like probably the better striker here. And he's kind of longer as well. So that's kind of the way I see it. Just don't really have strong opinions.
Yeah, 100%. Borg Bontorin, however you pronounce it. I think you have quite a strong lean on Borg, don't you?
Yeah, I like Borg here, and it's interesting because I generally don't like Borg because he doesn't land strikes ever. But I was looking into Bontorin, but one thing about Borg is he lands, like, he's landed 3 or more takedowns in, like, every fight he's been in that's gone 3 rounds or more, except against, like, Mighty Mouse, and I think there was one other, like, really good fighter he didn't do it to. And I just feel like Bontorin doesn't land a ton of strikes either. And I feel like this is just going to be a battle for top position. And I think statistically, Borg will shoot first. And this guy plays guard. Bontorin, if you watch him versus Tanaka, he got kind of dominated on the mat. And he plays guard. And the thing about what Gabriel Silva did against Borg is he actually has like legitimate sweeps from the bottom, where Bontorin tries to push her hips with his feet. So I feel like that's what Bontorin was doing against that Russian guy. Who's that Russian guy?
Biblatov.
Yeah, that's what he was doing to him, and that's not like, you can't really do that to Borg, like, 'cause and even if you do, Borg will just shoot again, like, Borg shoots, like, 10 takedown attempts per 15 minutes or something ridiculous, and I feel like if you have a guard game on bottom and you don't really have a sweeping game, I just feel like Borg is gonna get a ton of top time, and if you do take down Borg, which um I could see Bontorin getting some top time. I feel like Borg will just scramble out, and I just feel like he's a better wrestler here. That Tanaka fight was pretty concerning for if you're a Bontorin guy too. That's kind of the way I see it, and I just feel like Borg is being just a little. I got him at -1, and I feel like he's being a little unappreciated here.
Yeah, like if he'd beaten Casey Kenney by decision, what's the current price? It's probably like close to $1.40 or whatever. Because like
Yeah,
apart from Casey Kenney, which is a very tight decision, he's only lost to um he lost to more Mighty Mouse. He's lost to yeah, well, I mean Scoggins and Mighty Mouse since the Mighty Mouse fight, he's only lost to Kenney, which is a razor thin decision anyway. Obviously, he's got all way in dramas and the cancelled fights is an issue.
yeah,
I kind of broadly agree. My main reluctance to Borg is just lack of striking volume. Like,
yeah.
yeah, he'll probably
Agreed.
win the wrestling match, but like, I just Borg, he's not like he'll be positionally dominant, but will he be dominant?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with the weaknesses of Borg. There's a reason, like, I played, Casey Kenney over Borg, and I just felt like Kenney could compete in the grappling, and you don't really have to worry about anything with the striking with Borg. But even though, like, Borg's so low volume that he only lands 1.26 strikes per minute, but he only absorbs 1.8, so he's really good at just sucking you into a game, you know? And a lot of that was from Demetrius Johnson. Like, he barely absorbs strikes in fights either. It's because he just kind of sucks you into that game, and I feel like that's going to happen here, you know. And another thing I noticed, Bontorin didn't land any ground strikes in his fight with Bibulatov or whatever that Russian guy. So what I like about it is neither of these guys land ground strikes, so I think it will become even more of a battle for top position because if Bontorin gets on top, you probably won't be landing strikes to take over either, you know? Um, but that's the way that's just kind of the way I see it. But I understand the hesitance on the low output of Borg, but I just feel like Borg should just be a little bit higher of a favorite. Like, I don't think he should be like a massive, massive favorite or anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty much. I'll probably play Borg small, just my sort of lane. Um, I think yeah, I don't usually play wrestling advantage so much, but this is like a strong card for just all wrestling advantage lanes,
Yeah.
but which is always good to see. So Casey Kenney versus Merab. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce Merab's last name.
um,
Um,
yeah, you can go first.
we both love Casey Kenney. He's made us both decent amount of money. We max bet him over Bermudez, but Bermudez sucks. I think we both agree on that. And he kind of got lucky against Borg. Merab is a monster in terms of pace, cardio, and wrestling. And I just do not. I think Kenny kind of needs to finish this to win this fight because Merab's pace and aggro and sort of scorecard friendliness is so paramount. Kenny kind of needs to have like back control in two different rounds, especially considering cardio edge because like Merab's got like Colby Covington esque cardio and Kenny's middling cardio for the weight class. And I think a bunch of people who don't quite understand how to interpret grappling are using Kenny controlling Bermudez as indication of Kenny being some sort of elite grappler when it's more for Bermudez failing. So
Um,
is that about
yeah.
your take?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have like a bunch of numbers I could cite too, but I'm not gonna like go too heavy into them. Um, but I think Kenny needs a finish, or I just do not think like I love Kenny, you know, like I like both of these guys honestly, but I just feel like the takedown volume is a big difference, and just my eye tells me Merab is gonna win the takedown battle here. And like Merab attempts like 16 takedowns per 15 minutes. And what I don't like about Kenny is Borg landed 7 of 10 against him, and Bermudez landed 3 of 4. So, like, and Kenney only attempts, I think, like 3 to 4 takedowns per 15 minutes. So just like going by that alone, you have the guy like if you're playing Merab and it's a pretty affordable price, you have someone who just he'll probably just get ahead on the takedown battle. Even if you think their wrestling's even, he'll probably get ahead on it just by being quadruple the attempter, you know? So and I think he's just the better, stronger wrestler. And another thing is I do think another path to victory for Kenney could just be like get ups, kind of like signs, you know, like keeping a close decision by just get ups and maybe keeping the feet somewhat competitive. But I do feel like Kenny's striking defense is a little suspect. And I don't think we've really seen that because he hasn't had a ton of striking fights in the UFC. But if you watch his contender series fight with Antolin landed almost like 50% of his strikes attempted. And Merab actually wins the distance striking battle against almost everyone that he's fought, you know?
And also against Signs, Merab barely threw on the feet, where he seems to have like covered that hole somewhat in his more recent fights. Like
Yeah.
that Signs fight was weird for Merab. Like he just shot for takedowns over and over, and it's like I feel like a lot of judges will just blindly go for the guy hitting takedowns, regardless of how competitive the fight is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just feel like Kenny's kind of got quite a sort of narrow path to walk to get a win here.
Yeah, for sure. And even though, like, I do think Kenney can get his get-ups going a little bit here, but Merab just from a technical perspective, he does a lot of things where he'll just hold you see it with, like, Gillespie and a lot of these, like, real high volume wrestlers. He'll hold on to his clasped hands behind your back, and he kinda uses it as, like, a mat return mechanism, and I just feel like he's even if Kenny's getting up a little bit, I feel like he'll still be controlled in that sense, you know? And, like, Merab mauled Tony Gravely, who's a pretty good wrestler, just a couple years ago too, you know?
Yeah, he's a physical freak. It's insane what sort of tempo. Like clearly they're on something interesting at the Matsera Institute of People. You know,
Yeah,
between him and Aljo's car, between Merab's cardio and Aljo's cardio.
for sure.
Um, yeah, I think we're both quite confident. Merab, Miller versus Holtzman.
Yeah, this is another one. I have action on this one too, so I'm a little bit on board, like and I wanna say, like, I think a lot of these fights can be competitive, you know, like, I'm not saying any of them are locks. It's just I just feel like the people I'm playing should be a little heavier of favorites, that's all I'm saying, you know? Um, but I think I like Holtzman here, and I just feel like he's probably going to have a bit of a cardio edge, and I feel like, um, he's a little more proven on the feet as far as just, like, in 3 rounds. And I feel like he's just a little busier. I think he's got the durability edge, and I actually think although I don't think he's better as a submission grappler, I think he's a better wrestler than Miller as well, and I feel like Holtzman has elite get-ups, and if he gets taken down, I just feel like he's going to get back up, and he does a good job at giving up his back and getting back to his feet. And I know that can be a risk against Miller for a back take, but if you watch Holtzman, I don't know like how technical you got into watching the tape. He gives up his back and he like he's fighting hands and he shifts his hip kind of perpendicular to his opponent. So it anticipates a hook coming in, you know, because if you're squared up, that's when someone can get a hook or two in. But if you're kind of perpendicular, it allows you to spin out on the opposite side of a hook. So I generally think that he's probably going to get back up to the feet, you know, and not be at a huge submission risk. And Miller only attempts like 3 takedowns per 15 minutes anyway, you know. So it's like Holtzman probably just has to survive a couple takedown attempts or get up once or twice. And I feel like he'll be able to and kind of take over.
Yeah, and also Miller's kind of looked flat every time he's just kind of pushed or, I guess, discouraged in recent history because he's had sort of 3 straight fairly quick wins over low
Yeah.
level competition. I think a lot of people are assuming he's a lot more recovered than he's a lot more sort of with it than he really is. But it's possible he's 100% recovered. But I've got hesitation to trust his cardio or durability in recent years.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the last 3 decisions he's had, he's kind of gotten murked, and I know it was against 3 kind of big names. You got Poirier, which was a pretty good performance by Miller, to be honest. Pettis, and I would take Holtzman over Pettis, even 2017 Pettis personally, and then Trinaldo as well. And like Trinaldo and Pettis don't even push a really heavy pace, and Miller kind of just died. And
Yeah.
when I bring that up, and another thing is Miller can't get up from bottom position that well, and he only defends takedowns at 42%. And Holtzman is ruthless on top, like as far as just pace and ground and pound. And I feel like Holtzman could have success there too. But what I noticed in those fights is, yeah, he gassed really hard. And when I bring that up to people, they kind of say like, well, now he has his Lyme disease under control. And, like, that might be possible, but it's also very possible that since we haven't seen him in a decision since then, that it's still he has a very bad gas tank, and at least we know if you're on the Holtzman side, that Holtzman has a good gas tank, and he's gonna come in with good cardio, and if he didn't, it would just be unlucky, you know?
Yeah, I'm partly concerned just how Miller's been kind of just like swinging in his recent fights. Like maybe clips Holtzman, but Holtzman should have durability edge and power edge. So
Yeah.
like, I don't mind the ITD. What's the ITD now? Yeah, minus 150. Maybe it was like evens at one point. I don't mind that, but even then, yeah, I feel like Holtzman KO's got a decent chance here. Holtzman seems hit pretty hard, and I'm just not sure about Miller's durability but he just seems to be swinging lightly.
Yeah, another thing about Holtzman is I mean, he was swinging in the pocket with Josh Emmett and had Emmett kind of cowering up and going for takedowns. So, like, I feel like, and I know the only time I've really seen Holtzman kind of somewhat hurt was against Dong Hyun Ma, but it was really just like a quick, it wasn't like a scary knockdown, you know? It was just kind of like he clipped him and then Holtzman just popped right back up and then put the pressure on. So I feel like a Miller finish would look more like a club and sub, like if he hurt him and hopped on the back or something. But I just like Holtzman's defensive grappling and durability to not get finished here. And if it goes the distance, I feel like Holtzman can probably hurt Miller and just kind of win the rounds.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, it's possible Miller's got a resurgence, but I don't necessarily think it's the case. Dodson versus Wood. I'm actually quite passionate about Dodson here. I feel like Wood's kind of like I know Dodson has had the best last 2 performances, but like I feel like Wood's more towards the Munhoz sort of side of the spectrum about Munhoz's durability or power. And I feel like there's a good chance that Wood gets punched very, very hard in the face here.
Yeah, this is. Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah, because like, I just feel like Wood kind of relies on chaining into his grappling. A lot of his sort of striking is based on pressure into his grappling. I think Dodson is a massively better wrestler than he is. Like Dodson has out grappled some good grapplers in the past. Guys like Elliott, Makovsky, who else off the top of my head, but he legitimately out grappled Elliott back in the day. I think Wood's a bit too hittable to really rely on his volume game. I think that Wood's path to victory is probably going to be a sort of close decision by just pure volume, despite Dodson probably having the biggest moments, or Dodson just declining a lot. But I think Dodson is still blindingly quick. Like against Yarn, even Yarn was kind of going, "What the fuck? This guy is a lot faster than I expected." In the first round, at least. I don't think Wood has anywhere near the sort of the intelligence or coherence or defensive responsibility in this pressuring game that Rivera or Yarn does. So, and also Wood's taking a massive step up. I don't think he's been quite dominant enough against anybody but Yule for me to sort of have this sort of confidence in him.
Yeah, so I originally played a little bit on Wood just because it was kind of like an activity play, which I think people agree if Wood wins, it will probably be because Dodson slowed down a little bit and he just wins on activity, you know? So like I feel like you and I can both agree that's the path to victory for Wood. But I do like the more I kind of like I want to look into it a little more because I am getting a little less confident, and it's not just because you're saying this, but I do feel like Wood. I don't like that one of his primary paths to victory on the mat is probably gone here because I don't think he can consistently get Dodson down at all. But I don't think Dodson will really out wrestle Wood either. And it's not because of capability. It's just because of choice. He doesn't really do that. He only lands like half a takedown per 15, like he rarely goes to it. So I tend to think this is going to take place on the feet, right? I mean, if someone gets a takedown or something, it could happen. But I'm saying like generally I expect it to be on the feet. And I think like most people could probably agree with that. But I do like that Wood will have that. It's a southpaw orthodox fight, and he does consistently land that low leg kick. So I do like that he has a consistent strike to go to versus a low volume fighter. But I do agree Wood is a little bit hittable, and I haven't seen him like strike for a full 15 minutes, like composed, like I've seen him go like 3 minutes and he looked all right. But we've seen Dodson go like a full 15 minutes against Munoz and everything and stay composed. So yeah, like I don't know if I'm just putting too much stock into the Yan and Rivera fight because I don't think Dodson looked good against Rivera at all, especially. But those two are really good,
Yeah.
So those are kind of my thoughts on the fight. Like I do think Dodson has slowed down a little bit, so I will disagree with you a little bit there. Like I don't think he moves quite, especially as the fight goes. I feel like he doesn't move quite as well. He's definitely got some like speed at times still. Even you saw it in that Yan fight and a little bit in the Rivera fight. But I just hate how low volume he is.
Yeah, I just feel like against Lineker and Munoz, they had probably a similar, closer approach to what Wood will do in terms of their own volume and their sort of defense responsibility. And Dodson was able to kind of keep in the same neighborhood of strike land as both Munoz and Lineker.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying necessarily it's the exact same guys still there, but I think that, like, if Wood gives him the sort of defensively open style Wood kind of usually gives people, I think the athletic advantage for Dodson, like he slowed down a bit, but he essentially slowed down being fast. Like Dodson at his peak was the fastest person in the sport, pretty much. Now he's just fast.
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying to think, like maybe Garbrandt. I can't really think of anybody else who's really peak Dodson speed. Like he was the fastest flyweight by a wide margin.
Yeah, I'd have to think about it, but he was definitely fast.
Even like Mighty Mouse was probably a lesser athlete to Dodson, despite being smarter and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just think that this ends with there's a good chance Dodson gets KO or gets big moments. Also, yeah, I'm not going to harp on hometown judging, but this is New Mexico. Dodson's lifelong Jacksons. He's trained out. He's born in New Mexico, all that sort of stuff. You never know if it's kind of this. I could see this fight easily going to a split decision. So you never know if that's the extra 5% you need.
Yeah, like when it comes to hometown fighters, you never really know if it's going to matter. But I do tend to think you see the hometown fighter getting the benefit of the doubt more than the road fighter. Like,
yeah, I'm not going to claim like Dodson automatically wins a split decision. But my thing is, if it's worth like even like 4% in a close
even
round,
if it's 2%,
yeah,
like that matters. Yeah,
yeah. So I unless Dodson has kind of completely athletically gone, I don't really see Wood dominating. I don't see how Wood dominates this fight. I think Wood's win condition would be a sort of volume-based decision where he probably also gets clipped a fair bit and has some bad moments himself. Dodson is historically durable.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is I don't think Wood can get the grappling going, and I don't think he can put Dodson away. Like, I think if he put him away, it would be very, very random.
Dodson could just go off a cliff. He's old enough; he could just decline. But like, assuming the same Dodson on tape pops up.
Yeah, it's just. I will say though, I do think if somebody wins a comfortable decision, I actually think it will be Wood. Because I think it will just be an inactivity discrepancy. But I feel like if Dodson runs away with it, it's because he's hurt Wood a lot, not because he's like outstriking him on the total strikes. I think it would just be because he landed some really hard shots, like I feel like if no hard shots kind of land and it's just kind of like a pitter patter kickboxing match, I feel like Wood's gonna win. I could be wrong there. Like I think you have more faith in Dodson as far as like just being able to keep up on the numbers on the feet. But I'm just more like playing Wood. I'm just more worried if Dodson hurts him. That's my main concern. But who knows? Like Dodson is kind of hard to hit, so maybe he could just keep it close on the numbers too. But like I just tend to target low output fighters. But I think you can make a good argument for Dodson too. You know.
Yeah, 100%. What's next? Tim Means versus TNC. Nobody. Yeah, price looks about right.
Yeah,
Rodriguez
Rodriguez actually didn't look that bad on the Contender Series. He fought that Farrington guy. He's like a longer black guy who's actually not bad either. I forget. I think his name's Farrington, but Rodriguez like put up a good pace and stuff, and he's kind of tough. So I don't think he's like it's impossible for him to win here. But I do think Means is quite good in general.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with the price. Like I'm probably not going to fuck with this. You know.
Yeah, agreed. Vannata, Medeiros. I think Medeiros kind of like it's hard to have a value side proper one that's sort of shit based, but I'd rather go with the guy who's got 3 rounds of gas. Like Vannata's probably going to be better during round 1, but I also think that Vannata's probably going to be gassed to hell, whilst I think Medeiros will keep up an actual tempo. And like I
think there's a clear stay away.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm just saying that if I was bet, I'd bet Medeiros.
I think Vannata's like a little when they're fresh. I think Vannata's probably like a little better in my opinion, but like not by much. And it's still a high variance striking fight, but like Medeiros gets hit a lot, and I do think Vannata has an advantage in durability as far as just like. I feel like Vannata could take Medeiros' head off, where I feel like if Medeiros lands, Vannata's shown to be very, very tough, even though he gasses. But then I do agree Vannata slows down at the same time, you know? So like I think this has the recipe of a shit show, pretty much.
Yeah, like they're both regular shit show participants.
Yeah. Like, I have zero interest in playing this fight.
I think it'll be entertaining.
It will be fun. Like, yeah. I mean, look at I tweeted this last night. You have Borg, Bontorin, Kenney, Merab, Miller, Holtzman, Dodson, Wood, Means, Rodriguez, which I actually think will be fun too, and then Medeiros, Vannata. Like, those are all very fun fights right in a row.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, and half of them are sort of divisionally relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, I could see multiple guys here sort of future ranked contention, and yeah, decent going forward.
Yeah.
Petty the man card's kind of weaker.
Yeah.
Weaver versus Vargas. From memory, Vargas has no grappling game, but Weaver is kind of a noodly, defensively open regional sort of character, so I wouldn't want to play him at -300. That's my sort of lazy take.
That's I took a quick look at it and I was just like that was kind of how I was too. Like I watched some fights, some of them, and I was just like I don't feel like playing this type of thing.
Yeah, like yeah, if Weaver does the correct thing, I think yeah, he could just grapple him and probably win it pretty easily. But he also doesn't really seem like that smarter guy, I guess. Weaver wins inside the distance is kind of tempting because I feel like Weaver's seem to be sort of submission before position when he does grapple. But yeah, even then, +265 is probably not worth it.
Weaver threw up just a lot of strikes in general in the Contender Series, I remember too, but it was just like, I don't know. I just kind of felt like, yeah, like, I don't know, maybe Weaver seems a little better, but I just haven't seen these guys fight enough relative competition to really know what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, like, yeah, pretty much. I don't get a very trustworthy vibe from Weaver, to put it that way.
Yeah.
He seems like the sort of guy who would just do some crazy shit. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm not trusting a guy who could just randomly go off the gameplay -300.
Yeah, agreed.
I have no strong opinions about Montana De La Rosa versus Mara Romero Borella. I like Rosa because she does go for us. She does go for takedowns. She knows where her bread is buttered, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I do think Borella is actually like can maybe compete on the mat a little bit. Like I actually think the value could be on Borella, but I don't have strong opinions either. I expect kind of maybe just a competitive fight.
Not Rose inside distance at -400. It's tempting. Well, not tempting, but I think that could be a play.
Oh,
Like,
what is it?
not
Oh,
Rose inside
wow.
distance -400. Like, I think this should go distance pretty frequently. I think Rose is getting a bit too much credit for tapping Kasem and Ostovich.
Yeah, I played Rosa against Kassem, and I also played that um Kim against Kassem too, but that was more of a fade of Kassem because she's honestly one of the worst women's fighters that's been around. I don't say that disrespectfully. It's just she's raw and doesn't have a lot of experience. But I don't think Montana, like, I think she's an okay wrestler, but I feel like Borella can probably compete a little bit, you know, and she can grapple a bit herself. So
Yeah.
has she ever
Yeah.
been subbed? Like, has Borella ever been subbed before?
Quick Wikipedia look. Doesn't look like it.
Let's wiki cap this fight because we obviously don't care too much about it. But
She's been knocked out a bunch of times for a woman, which is concerning.
true.
They've been subbed. Oh, one's been subbed in 2014.
The Murphy knockout on her was hilarious because it was just so like like it didn't even look like I think it was a knee or something or like I can't really
Yeah.
remember. I think it was like a knee and then a follow-ups and I just feel like the knee didn't even land that hard and it looked like she just died. But
Yeah, remember Magny versus Craig White?
oh
This is
yeah,
ages
it was
ago,
like
same sort of thing. He
yeah,
barely bopped him with a knee and he just dies. So I guess sometimes that just happens.
yeah, it looked like he was just yeah. I mean, I guess sometimes the force may not look that much on TV, but maybe it just landed in the right spot or something, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's happened enough times. It's definitely a thing, but it's always funny when it happens.
Yeah.
Clark versus Townsend. I know you're a massive Townsend supporter.
It's funny. Like I think the line's probably completely right. Clark should just out grapple him, but Clark is shinny enough to where it's like I don't know if you want to play him at like if Clark showed that he was durable. I honestly, there's probably value on him at -300 because Townsend can't win rounds, you know. But like Clark is a little. Do you feel me on that one? Like Clark
Yeah,
can't just randomly get hit with anything and die.
pretty much. Like Clark's good. I do like Clark. I feel like he's reasonably skilled by like heavyweight standards, but
Yeah,
he also does have a high chance that he just tends to die a lot.
yeah. It's like he should probably win here, but if he like, I don't know if he could dominate the first round, come out in the second, go in for like a takedown and get uppercutted and knock the fuck out. So it's just a little scary, but I do expect him to win.
Like I think all skill for skill, Clark's actually not bad when it comes to sort of the universal light heavyweights.
Yeah, yeah, I
Like
agree.
he's not good, but there's no obvious holes there, and he's a reasonable athlete, which
Yeah,
is more than you can say about a lot of light heavyweights.
yeah,
Like with Krylov, Walker, um, Shogun, Jacare, who are all ranked at light heavyweight.
yeah.
It's crazy Ankalaev doesn't ranked.
Yeah, Ankalaev's a monster too. Him and Kudalaba will be a good one. I think both guys are pretty good.
I think he's -200 somewhere. Somebody showed me an opener, or I saw an opener.
He's
Which,
-250 now.
probably about right. Like I think I give Kutalaba more respect in the wild first round knockout department than I do Dalcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of meme shit, Sanchez versus Pereira.
So there's a lot of people who like kind of get mad that he's in the UFC just because he's like a gymnast. like, just but
Yeah.
I think it's fucking fun. Like sometimes we need to just like the thing is Pereira's skills aren't all that terrible. It's just he does backflips and gets tired, you know? Like I feel like if he just kind of paced himself, he wouldn't be that bad. You know, like he's got like he can kind of stop takedowns until he gets tired, and he can like put together some powerful punches. But yeah, like I don't know. I think it's fun. Just let it be what it is. And this fight, I think it's hilarious. Like Sanchez in New Mexico is going to come out just like screaming and going nuts, and then this guy's going to be doing backflips, and I feel like the energy is going to be very fun. Personally, just like as far as a fan, I think it's going to be fucking hilarious, and we should just embrace it for what it is. But this is the most obvious live bet ever. Like, I wouldn't touch it. Like, I would say Diego is the value side at plus money, but if he loses, he's going to get knocked the fuck out in the first round, and I feel like if he survives, there's probably going to be value on him, and you'll have a very good sense of how the fight's going to go after a round.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I think with Michelle, it's kind of like he did knock out Danny Roberts. He's not awful. He does some very stupid meme shit, but he's not awful.
Yeah, and I mean he hits hard.
Yeah, and what's wrong with having this whole presence in the sport? Like, he's entertaining. It's not like we're trying to fast track him to a title shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, because I'll see some people on Twitter like saying like it's a disgrace to have him in the cage, and I'm like, he's still like got a decent regional record and is entertaining. Like, just let it be what it is. I'm not saying like it should be a guy like this should be filled in every weight class, but like we've never really seen him before, and he's 1-1, so just let him fight it out.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, that's the way I see this fight. I feel like I tend to think just because there is such a clear path to victory for Diego, and he's got good cardio, that plus 145 probably makes him the value. But it's almost like the Conor McGregor Cerrone thing, where like I personally thought there was maybe value in the Cerrone line, but I understood the win condition of McGregor was very front loaded. So it was like, just let it happen and see if there's an opportunity that comes later.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's probably the best way. That's always the best way to play when there's a clear cardio pivot involved. Yeah. And also just kind of like, it seemed possible. It's like if Sanchez tries going for a takedown and Pereira is just too big. Because Pereira is a massive welterweight and Sanchez is a small welterweight.
Yeah, that could be a thing too.
And his chance, Pereira is like 30 pounds. We might have like 20 pounds on Sanchez in the ring.
Yeah.
Which is, concerning for Sanchez. And, knowing Sanchez might actually rock up and try kickboxing with him. Sanchez is a crazy person. They're both crazy people.
For sure.
I think I prefer we had like a bunch of like Super Bowl prop bets about what happens during the walkouts.
It's going to be like an event. It's going to be fucking awesome. I'm honestly excited for this fight. And it's just like, I'm a bit of a purist, like, I mean, I've wrestled my whole life. So I kind of have that like principle of being a bit of a purist, but sometimes we need to fucking relax and just enjoy the show,
Yeah, 100%. But wrestling usually has its great entertainers. Hulk Hogan, Chael Sonnen.
I'm talking about real wrestling here,
Well, I see. Raw or Nitro.
Yeah, like I wasn't into like the WWF stuff, but yeah, you had like Raw, you have Raw and all that. But I just remember The Rock and some of the big names, but I wasn't really a pro wrestling guy.
Yeah, fair enough. Neither was I personally. I just found there's a lot of overlap between sort of the UFC community and the wrestling community, so I've kind of just like developed awareness of it over the years.
I have some awareness for it too, but yeah, I'm not like a fan or anything. I think it's fine. It's whatever. Like if that's what you're into, that's what you're into.
Anyway, speaking of wrestling, Corey Anderson. I like people watch the first fight. I feel like Corey Anderson looked like a minus like 20,000 in the first fight, and I don't see how anything has changed in the dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's KO or bust for Jan. Pretty much. You can talk about the fight. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's not like Jan can get KOs, but he's not so massive. Like, oh, he might just land a KO Anderson. Anderson's chin is massively underrated for what it is, in my opinion. Like, I mean, people act like he's going to be knocked out by just airing jabs. When, like, he's generally taken some fair finish, some finishing. You're not taking him out with light shots. I think Jan's power isn't really there. I think Jan can't deal with the wrestling. Like, I think he'll probably be a little bit more savvy and retaining guard and not getting like completely fucked up the same way he did against Anderson the first time. But how has Jan shown any real improvements in takedown defense? Like, people saying, well, we stopped Rockhold's takedowns, but Rockhold looked pregnant. So yeah, I'm not really impressed by stuffing the takedowns of the Rockhold he stuffs takedowns from.
Yeah. As far as the takedowns go, I'll talk about that. I feel like this is one of that classic that you see this popping up a lot, and I kind of mention it even before fights when I see it. I think it's that classic thing where Jan can kind of stop those clinch type of takedowns pretty well, but when you go versus somebody, because like Rockhold, that's what he would do. Like Rockhold would do that thing where he gets an over under, pushes you up versus the cage, and kind of tries to like work takedowns there. But Rockhold's not really a takedown artist. He never has been. And if he was Rockhold would have been fucking dominant because his top game was amazing. But and then even like Jacare, he kind of would just push up against the cage too. But I think it's pretty clear once you go below the waist on Jan, he can't stop those type of takedowns. And I know the Gus fight was a long time ago, but Gus kept landing double legs on him. And Anderson, although it was in 2015, he couldn't stop kind of chained up takedown variety, and that was emphasized below the waist. And then against Patrick Cummins, which was, when was that? That was recent, like kind of recent.
Yeah, a few years ago, just before the start of Jan's sort of resurgence.
It was in 2017, so it was like a little less than 3 years ago. But that was another one where Cummins went below the waist and he was able to kind of get the takedowns going. And I just feel like against Rockhold and Jacare, it was different type of takedowns. And I expect Anderson to, especially over the course of 5 rounds, I expect the takedowns to land eventually, you know? So
I can't wait to see a 36-year-old who's 13 years into his career, like completely reinventing his counter wrestling game.
Yeah.
To be frank, and like without completely reinventing it, I see how he kind of needs knockout here.
The most recent fight where you kind of saw this phenomenon was Lena Landsberg. Lena Landsberg against who was it? Macy Chase. She can stop. At first it was Chase Sound. She could stop the kind of some of those clinch upper body takedown attempts because Chase Sound doesn't really know how to wrestle below the waist. She can kind of just bully you with over unders, but you saw when McMahon is like and Anderson have takedown variety, and when you have that with like McMahon, do you see how easy she was able to take down Landsberg? I honestly probably should have played McMahon in that fight, but it's easy to say in hindsight. But I was kind of worried about her just overall. But I feel like that same dynamic's going to happen here. It takes so many years to stop all those different types of takedowns because Anderson has like 40 different tricks. And Anderson lands 5 takedowns per 15. And he'll attempt like, over 10 takedowns per fight as well. And over 25 minutes, I think it will just get emphasized a little more.
Yeah, I think Jan's going to spend most of this fight on his back or against the cage and just losing. Not Jan. I think we both had a chat the day or two ago, but not Jan by decision. That minus 1,000 should actually be playable because, like, how exactly does Jan win the decision here?
It's minus 850, and I tossed it in a parlay. I tossed it in a parlay because I honestly don't think he can win a decision. It would be pretty crazy if he did. I know the sport is pretty nuts, but I feel like you're a little protected in the fact that this is 5 rounds. And I feel like kind of like just random little like knockdown type of rounds that Jan could potentially win, I feel like that path is kind of mitigated with more rounds at play here with 5, you know?
Yeah, and also it's like, yeah, you essentially have to, Jan pretty much need 3 knockdowns without a finish.
Yeah.
Or you maybe some crazy point deduction thing or something, but it's just like, I don't see how he manages to win 3 rounds of the Kahir way without finishing Anderson. Like if Anderson gets jacked 3 times, you imagine you get a finish out of it.
Yeah. And just to emphasize, like I know the fight was very long ago, but I don't like I feel like their games are still similar. They're both probably a little more polished now, like Anderson as well, you know. But Corey Anderson outlanded him 156-33 in the total strikes, and Anderson went 4 of 4 on takedowns. And if you watch the fight, the takedowns came easier and easier as the fight went. So I could maybe see Jan competing for like a round, kind of like he did in the first fight. And then it's like, I also feel like 10-8 rounds are at play here too, which is another reason why I don't think Jan can win a decision, because Anderson got 2 10-8 rounds on 2 judges' scorecards in that first fight as well, you know?
And this is back when 10-8s were hard to get.
Yeah,
like,
and he got 6 passes on the mat too, so.
Yeah. I'm kind of regretting I played a fair bit of Anderson's decision. I think Anderson moneyline probably, I think there's enough scope for a finish late, but I think Jan's very tough and has kind of reasonable guard protection, that sort of stuff. And Anderson rarely seems sort of urgent to get his all finishing position. Like he'll keep pouring in ground and pound, but considering how dominant he's been on the mat with several guys, he's rarely sort of tried to. He doesn't usually sort of up the ante into actual finishing positions.
Yeah.
Like even against, like I remember against Glover, he was just beating the shit out of Glover for most of that fight. Against Cummins, he was beating the shit out of Cummins for most of that fight. But he never really pushed into position, which allowed him to actually get stopped.
He kind of just stays in. He does a lot of half positions. And you see this with Leon Edwards, where which I like, because I like control, you know, like I don't like when you kind of risk it, but like say if he has Jan's back or something, and he'll only keep one leg, one hook in, but he'll do it in a way to where he can take the hook out and kind of ride him as well, you know? And he'll have like spiral rides and things like that because he's kind of focused on mat returns. And you see like Khabib does this as well. Like Khabib really only puts hooks in when he's really decided you're tired and going for the rear naked choke type of thing. But yeah, and another thing is even if Anderson can't get takedowns right away, and over the course of 5 rounds, I fully expect him to later. He also outlanded Jan on the feet as well, you know, and I feel like Anderson could maybe even win there as well. So I just feel like he's probably a little better everywhere, although Jan obviously could make some things happen on the feet, but that's really it.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like he should say he's got most of the major advantages. The chin, you know, he could get knocked out, but I just don't know if I think people are overstating that possibility. And really should just dominate minutes.
Yeah, the decision's pretty much gone for Jan, in my opinion. It's really like the sub. I guess it could happen, but I feel like
most likely
it would be a low percentage, right? Or a club and sub or something.
Yeah, like I can't imagine him just getting a naked sub.
Yeah,
like he hit that stupid what was it, ninja choke against Devin Clark, but Devin Clark was kind of hurt and panic wrestling at that point. So like something where he kind of clips Anderson and then Anderson goes for a stupid panic wrestle and gets subbed is possible, but I can't imagine him dry subbing Anderson off his back.
One thing I like about Anderson too, when he's on the mat, and he did this for Jan in the first fight, because I think Jan got like 1 takedown at one point and had like 10 seconds of top control. Anderson doesn't give up his back, which is really good. What he does is he goes to his own back and he then like offensively wrestles from its back, like going for a single leg. Like he'll kind of go to his back, and then he'll kind of just like fight for an underhook or grab a single leg and work up from there and kind of chain his offensive wrestling to work up. And I feel like that mitigates the sub risk too. So like I'm more worried if a knockout happens, but I just feel like if it happens, it's just kind of a little bit random, although it's possible.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I don't see Jans having the game to just be that's on moment to moment dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, reservations, and yeah, I think there's decent. I think Anson's just roll over the top of him. Like I'm very confident in Anson. I'm very confident in Merab. Just because I feel like the tempo differences are so striking.
Yeah. And then I guess one last thing
Anson
to
just
talk
went
about
right.
on this fight, and then we can just end it because I feel like we're kind of repeating some of the same shit. But do you think 5 rounds hurts or benefits Anderson?
I think Jan will be gassed the fuck after. I think that it's easier. I think the extra 10 minutes to get a knockout is worth less than the fact you don't need 10 minutes. You don't need 2 rounds to win a decision in a 3-rounder.
Agreed. That's how I see it
That
too.
gives them scope to maybe you could get like a takedown in like round 1 and then get like a knockdown in round 2 and like kind of scrape out a close decision. But like you add the extra round and like by the fact that just by the cardio discrepancy, the later rounds should be Anderson since by default.
Yeah, agreed.
Because like Jan pretty much to win a decision, Jan pretty much need to win the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm pretty sure Anderson, unless something weird happens, massive cardio would get an edge on him.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it too. Because originally I was like, "Fuck, that gives Jan more time to maybe get a finish." But then I kind of thought, well, that just widens the decision discrepancy even more for Anderson compared to Jan, because I feel like if he has 5 rounds to work with, like Jan's decision chances go really, really down the drain. Where in 3, this is MMA and shit can happen. But like you said, even though he has more time to get a finish now, Jan, I just think rounds 4 and 5, it will be tough to finish Anderson that late, especially with the cardio discrepancy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I think that's probably wraps up for this week. I'm kind of going semi-comatose because it's 2 a.m. here.
Yeah, you can go, man. Good podcast. We'll do another one next week, and thanks so much, and get some rest.
Thanks for listening. I've been dismissed by Tim. See you guys.
Wait, are you good? You good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I just heard comatose and 2 a.m. I figured you wanted to fucking go, so I was trying to be nice.
Just fucking with you. It's all good.
All right, man. We'll do another one next week, and good cards. So I'll talk to you throughout the week, and thanks for everyone who listened.
Yep. Thanks, guys.